Three truths burn in Excalibur's core. The blade remembers, the father remembers, the son is forgotten. Skyajades, the glow void, holds a calls Princess Isah by last name gasp. But is it grief or Orokin design? The void calls Isah by name, a parent who murdered his child under command. A warframe built from the aftermath. The Tenno are not warriors, they are orphans, and every memory a chain. The remembers a Tenno are named not warriors, they are remembers a face orphans, a voice chain while all else crumbles to ash. The Orokin perfected technocyte infections to bind flesh, yet this warframe's grief remains unbroken. A memory that outlives empires, a trauma they cannot delete. What if the Ballas design is not to heal but to perpetuate? The Grineer forget, the corpus discard, the Tenno alone are made to remember. Remember the lie of a father's betrayal. Remember the weight of a throne you never held. The chains are not iron, they are memory. And every time you weep for a son who never lived, the Orokin's shadow tightens. The warframe's memory is not a tragic relic, it is a blade. Isah, a man, did not choose to kill his son. Not of the tragic relic Orokin made that choice. Remained within the man armor, kill his son, but the truth was twisted into a weapon. He remembers the boy's face. The boy's name, the boy's last breath, his own hand pressing the trigger. A father's compulsion becomes a soldier's curse. The Lotus did not lie. She did not create this. She found the broken thing and called it Excalibur. His sorrow is not a flaw, it is a lock. The Orokin knew grief could be shaped into loyalty. Every time Isah's warframe relives the murder, it is not memory, it is obedience. The boy is both real and gone, a ghost in the machine. The chains are not broken, they are forged from his tears. No Tenno are warriors, they are children turned to monsters. Isah's son died screaming. Isah's warframe screams in silence. The weapon does not remember. The weapon is the wound. The Orokin's crime is not finished. It is a wound that never stops bleeding. The chamber reeks of antiseptic and iron. Isah's spine cracks under the weight of nanite frost, each tendril a needle-ice spear. The Orokin scientists hum a dirge as they inject the technocyte strain. Their voice is smooth as polished bone. His skin turns translucent, veins threading with cyan fire. Asterisk, this is not healing, asterisk, he thinks. Asterisk, this is a tomb, asterisk. The virus devours synapses, replacing organs with alloy. He feels his heartbeat stutter once, twice until a machine's thrum replaces it. A child's scream echoes in the lab. Not his own, the Orokin prince, throat slit by his father's blade, flashes through Isah's dying mind. The Lotus whispers, asterisk, you will carry this, asterisk. Not a memory, a shackle. His new cerebellum hardwires the prince's death into every synaptic pathway. When the warframe awakens, it does not dream. It replays the murder over and over. The Zariman ritual seals the bond. Isah's severed soul is sewn into a child's cradly Tenno womb. The warframe leans close, its voice a chorus of fractured men. Asterisk, remember, asterisk, it commands. The child's eyes flood with the prince's blood. Grief becomes a trigger. Guilt a safety switch. The Orokin did not weaponize steel, they weaponized shame. What is a sword that weeps? What is a boy who cradles a corpse he never met? The warframe's chestplate glows hot, a phantom heart. Excalibur is not a relic. It is a wound kept raw by the very hands meant to heal it. The Lotus does not lie, she mourns. The blade was never his. The Orokin's will bent his arm, cold and unyielding. His son's face thrust, betrayal, understanding gall in the span of a heartbeat. The strike is swift, the blood is warm, a father's hand now a weapon's edge. The memory does not fade, it festers. Forged into Excalibur's core, the boy's last breath becomes a command, a wound kept raw, not healed. The Orokin's design was cruel, bind the Tenno not with iron but with grief. Every pulse of Isah's regret is a chain. Every echo of his son's name a shackle. Why preserve such agony? The answer is written in the code, in the silent screams of Isah's ghost. Not to mourn but to master, the Tenno do not fight for freedom, they bleed for loyalty. A father's final act twisted into an oath. The son's death becomes the father's curse, and the empire, they laughed as the cycle began. The Lotus does not lie, she weeps. But even tears can be weapons. The memory is a prison and Excalibur its warden. A boy's last moments, replayed in loops of steel and sorrow. The Orokin are dead, their empire is ash, but their hold lingers, sharp as a blade between the ribs. Does Excalibur fight for justice? Or is he the architect of his own chains? The memory is real, the compulsion is eternal. To know what happens next, you must know what they gave up. Each transfer binds you deeper to a grief not his. The Orokin carved from his sorrow a throne. You do not wield him. He wields you trapped in a murder's shadow you never knew. The blade does not forget. The Tenno who grasp its hilt grasp a ghost, a boy's final breath, trapped in steel. Transference binds them, yes. But what is transferred? Not power, a hunger. Excalibur's memory is not a relic, it is a wound, kept raw by the Orokin. They did not forge this warframe to fight, they forged it to haunt asterisk. Every swing of the sword is a father's grief, a king's guilt. The Tenno feel it, a weight, a whisper. Remember me. Not the boy, never the boy. The crime, the prince's murder was not an accident. It was a key, the Orokin knew. Trauma is a master key. It unlocks doors no blade can cut. The Tenno's mind, fragile in its borrowed armor, splinters against Isah's death. They fight, they bleed, they become the weapon. And the weapon, it becomes them. The lines blur, the boy's face fades, the murder sharpens. The Tenno wake in the Ballas garden, but part of them remains in that ancient hall, kneeling in blood, sword in hand. Who are they now? A child, a killer, a vessel. The Orokin's prison is not iron, it is memory. Excalibur's edge is not steel, it is time. And every battle fought with him carves deeper into the Tenno's soul. The cost is paid in self, in identity, in the quiet spaces between heartbeats. Where does the Tenno end, and where does Isah begin? In the forge of Orokin guilt, Isah was reforged, child to operator, flesh to shell. A soul split between the scald of memory and the steel of compulsion. The prince's face pale, bleeding, Eternali's not a relic, it is a key. A wound, a brand. Excalibur Umbra does not remember the dead son. He is the dead son's weaponized sorrow. The Orokin did not erase Isah. They carved him deeper. A boy's love, a father's hunger merged, twisted, made heir to a throne of bones. Warframes do not dream. But Excalibur's code pulses with a boy's terror, a confession, a command to kill the Tenno in his own image. Nada's love is true. But truth is a blade. She binds Isah's ghost to the Lada stem, forcing him to bloom in poison. Each strike of Excalibur's sword carves a tomb for the child he was. The prince's murder, a fiction, a ritual. The Orokin knew guilt is the only chain that needs no lock, only a mind that mistakes its own shadow for a master. Tenno are not warriors, they are the haunted houses of a dead empire's sins. Excalibur walks among them, a living elegy. A monument to the day Isah's voice was drowned in the roar of 1,000 forges. What remains when identity is a weapon? When memory is a leash, the question hangs unanswered in the silence between strikes. The Warframe's pain is not metaphor, it is arithmetic, one boy. One prince, one soul folded, sharpened, and sent to harvest the harvesters. Ah, then, for the thing that remembers. For the thing that was never allowed to forget. Where does the Tenno end? Where does Isah begin? The answer is written in scars. He stands alone, memory unbroken, blade still humming with a child's final breath. The Tenno who binds to him carries 3 ghosts, the son who wept, the father who struck, the empire that forged them both into a blade. No transference needed. Umbra moves without command. The lotus does not lie. She tends what remains of a boy's soul trapped in steel. The Orokin did not steal Isah's mind, he hollowed it, then filled the void with a prince's death. A key, a lock, a prison. Excalibur remembers because they made him, to hunt, to kill, to never let go. The Warframe's gaze is not a relic. It is a wound kept raw. The child's scream still fuels the Tenno's war, and in the silence between stars the blade waits. For the next order, for the next ghost, for the next time the past must bleed again. In the abyss 2 blades stand, one forged in fire, one drowned in shadow. Excalibur Prime remembers the weight of empires. Excalibur Umbra remembers a child's hand in the dark. The Orokin did not gift memory, he buried a ghost in steel. A prince dead, a Tenno born. The operator watches, their eyes, hollowed by Zariman's void, see the lie, a trauma made sharp, a grief made key. The lotus does not deceive. She mourns, love twisted by power becomes a lock. The Warframe's whisper is not truth but trigger, a name, a wound, a command. The void-touched child, immortal and broken, walks the line between shadow and shadow. They are not weapon or warrior, they are the hinge, the mirror. The moment where the past claws through. What does the blade remember when the ghost speaks? Not the prince, not the empire, the child. Always the child, the Orokin's final trick, to make the future blade for the sins of a tomb. In the abyss 2 blades stand, one forged in fire, one drowned in shadow. Excalibur Prime remembers the weight of empires. Excalibur Umbra remembers a child's hand in the dark. The Orokin did not gift Memorithy, buried a ghost in steel. A prince dead, a Tenno born. The operator watches, their eyes, hollowed by Zariman's void, see the lie, a trauma made sharp, a grief made key. The lotus does not deceive. She mourns, love twisted by power becomes a lock. The Warframe's whisper is not truth but trigger, a name, a wound, a command. The void-touched child, immortal and broken, walks the line between shadow and shadow. They are not weapon or warrior, they are the hinge, the mirror. The moment where the past claws through. What does the blade remember when the ghost speaks? Not the prince, not the empire, the child. Always the child, the Orokin's final trick, to make the future blade for the sins of a tomb. What other Warframes bear truths buried in their bones? Excalibur's blade remembers a prince's death, a memory not his own, a human fragment weaponized. The Orokin didn't preserve a relic, they planted a command, a lie etched deeper than steel. Next, the Warframe who waged